Welcome to NFL Daily, where the holidays are over. Holidays are over. Almost. I'm Gregg Rosenthal here in the Chris Wesseling podcast studio. Our last NFL Daily of 2025. It's been a great year previewing games with my friends Patrick Claybon and Jourdan Rodrigue. Here we are, the last full slate to talk about of the year.
We did it. And so did all the players and coaches and people and staffs.
Everyone
folks
tried hard.
Loading up the airplanes, the buses, everybody involved in making this a great NFL season. And I hope they have a successful and happy 2026.
You guys aren't off the hook, though. We're going to be previewing the playoffs, and the train keeps moving.
It doesn't stop after this?
No, this is just the beginning. But it's been a great year here on the preview show and on NFL Daily. I did want to mention, because some people were asking, we got those Christmas cards to Colleen Wolfe. And look, we had QB Island on the docket for Tuesday. We got to do season finale QB Island. And, you know, knowing us, like, procrastinating makes sense. We're going to be reading all those Christmas cards once we get to the new year next Tuesday. So I'm looking forward to that. But in the meantime, we have a little bit different of a setup here, Patrick, you know, as the co-host. I'm putting a lot on you. We're going to go NFC first.
Okay.
Then AFC. And we're doing it in order of seeding entering the week. So, for instance, the first game is Seattle-San Francisco, because Seattle, is the number one seed. And so we're going in order of seeding, and we are going to put a clock on each one of these games, but each game deserves a different amount of time. And Seattle-San Francisco is one of three, very meaningful games that deserve the full 7-minute treatment.
And that's why we got 7 in red, parenthetically, which I enjoy because, it highlights the importance of the fact that the Seattle Seahawks are 1.5-point favorites on the road against those San Francisco 49ers who just won. The Bears playing again in another game of the year, as it seems like the Bears are doing that every single week on ESPN and ABC. Shout out to broadcast television. 49.5 is the over-under. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, and Laura Rutledge are on the call, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
The 49ers can do this. You've highlighted the possibility of them doing this for the past several weeks. Do they actually do it and get the number 1 overall seed?
I'm leaning Seahawks. But it wouldn't surprise me if the 49ers won this game. I think the one thing that should make 49ers fans feel better about their biggest weakness, which is obviously the pass rush and the defense in general, is kind of the big question I have for Seattle right now. Is Sam Darnold, recovering from getting booted off of quarterback island after being the MVP in the first half of the season for NFL Daily? Is he really in a position right now, not because of the QB Island thing, but is he legitimately in a position, as the rest of the offense, in a position to beat up on a bad defense? Are they good enough to put up enough points against this 49ers defense? I have my doubts. I literally don't know the answer, but the way Darnold and the running game inconsistency has been playing lately, I think it's an open question.
I think they have a size advantage in a lot of key areas against this 49ers defense, too. The way that A.J. Barner has emerged as a real threat, their run game has been just sort of creaking to life, and some weeks it meets its potential, and other weeks it takes a step back, it seems to. But the two-back system that they want to run, it also is a mismatch size-wise, and I think that they obviously have the advantage. As up and down as their offensive line, Seattle's offensive line has been playing, they do still, I think, have an advantage against the 49ers defensive line. I think that they just try to go out and overwhelm position by position this 49ers defense. You have mismatches everywhere.
Rashid Shaheed is coming off a concussion. So far, we just don't know. When it comes to concussions, you kind of got to wait through the week. Cooper Kupp struggled a little bit lately. So, yeah, you mentioned it. A.J. Barner with that touchdown celebration. I mean,
look the same.
It's like sneaky memorable, the A.J. Barner touchdown celebration.
B5-fo-fum.
And it made my friend and fantasy live co-host Adam Rank think of there was a Jon Favreau moment from Friends where he was in a full body cast and moving his body back and forth. If that's what A.J. Barner was celebrating, I
don't know what he's doing.
Never been able to laugh at a single
late
thing.
episode in the show. He watched it all the way through, huh?
No, yeah, he celebrates the entire catalog. It's a bit of a bit between us because I don't it was not necessarily a show for me. And I feel like, the premise was a ripoff of Living Single and all that to lead into a discussion about Sam Darnold and the way that the picture has been muddied by teams to bother Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Look, going all the way back to the legendary Jacoby Brissett game that I will talk about for the rest of my life, this 49ers team has not been able to do that like consistently.
Good point.
So if you want to extract that bad version of Sam Darnold, or at least the backwards version of the Seahawks offense, you need to be able to apply that pressure, and I have yet to see them do it.
Fair.
And just the way that Nicky Manwari and the rest of the Seattle front with Lawrence and the large cat playing very well as well. I just there's
let's talk about that side.
Too much talent.
It is very possibly the best offense in the league right now versus the best defense in the league. Now, obviously, we might have got this one 2 weeks ago too when it was Seahawks-Rams best. But the way the 49ers offense is playing right now, it is as much of a Super Bowl preview in terms of two units absolutely dominating as possible, which makes the status of Trent Williams and George Kittle so much more important. It's amazing that they did all that on Sunday night without George Kittle and without Trent Williams for almost the entire game. And so we're going to have to see if they're available. It's hard to imagine them being their best selves without those two guys in this matchup.
Yeah, I agree. And because otherwise, the 49ers, you keep on saying, oh, I've seen this before with the version, maybe not one for one, the version of offense that they're playing, but in terms of mixing their personnels, mixing their formation changes, and just being this like overwhelming monolithic force moving the ball down the field. I don't know that you get a game like that out of Christian McCaffrey 10 times out of 10 at this point in his career. But this is also a 49ers team that is so used to, and I would say on both sides of the ball, playing matchup football this time of year and is gunning for that bye because they have people to get healthy. And so this is one of those where I think in the playoffs we always talk about on offense and defense, it's not necessarily, that you play a team like you would in the regular season. You design very specific game plans. You can't really afford to always do that unless you're extremely gifted in that area and can delegate along your staff as a coach. This is when you start if you're the 49ers. It also is when you start if you're the Seahawks.
It is a playoff game.
Because it is a playoff game. And that's the thing. And it feels like one. It really does.
Someone gets a playoff win if you win. It's like a playoff bonus game. You get a playoff win if you win because you get that bye. You have to skip a week. But you don't have to, suffer the bad part where your season's over.
But they don't get the win though.
You get to advance to the final 8.
Advance, but in terms of looking back and when we do
that's true.
The weighing of the souls of people's careers, nobody's going to say,
and you don't get the enjoyment.
Sam Darnold got that playoff win because he won that game.
You don't get the enjoyment, but you do get to advance to the final 8. The winner, that's a amazing carrot for both of these teams to go after.
I think the 49ers cannot run pressure, but when I'm talking about matchup football, I do think that Robert Saleh, with this cast of players that he has, is able to specifically design some of the things that do bother Sam Darnold, which is make it look like you are going to bring pressure and then backing that pressure off of the ball all of a sudden and cloudying up and rotating your guys throughout the defensive backfield. I do think he has the guys for that. And I think it's about, for both of these teams, it's admitting what you are not. The Seattle Seahawks have to basically oversize and overwhelm this 49ers defense, right? They have to admit that, okay, maybe right now we're not totally firing on all cylinders with our finesse players and our downfield passing game other than JSN. Okay, let's just load up and overwhelm. 49ers, on the other hand, have to say, you know what? We can't rush the quarterback regularly. Let's try to mess him up in other ways, in ways that other teams have been successful with designing those sims and creepers.
If there can be this coaching masterclass and Saleh can have the defense positioned as they were in the game-deciding play against the Chicago Bears, and Kyle is dialing up opportunities and Brock Purdy's executing great, of course the 49ers can win this game. I just think the barriers to success, there's a whole lot more for San Francisco than there are for Seattle.
I think talking about the physicality is it. I just think that the Seahawks have more dudes, which is crazy to say. But then again, CMC, kind of like Derrick Henry, looked a little extra in Week 17. Like he had somehow saved up a little more in reserve. And if you get that version and you get the version of Brock Purdy that you saw in Week 1, remember, the 49ers won this game in Week 1 in a game that Brock Purdy was pressured 60% of the time and yet delivered a bunch of big-time throws. It was a performance where I remember it was much better than the box score indicated. So he's been better than Sam Darnold, and he's probably going to have to be better to win this game.
All right, let's go to another game that would be between two contenders, but things have kind of fallen off lately for a team that we really love. The Detroit Lions are at the Chicago Bears, who are favored by 3 this time around. The over-under is 50.5. Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady, Aaron Andrews, and Tom Rinaldi are on the call. The parenthetical says 5 minutes for this one, Jourdan.
Well, they are the 2 seed, and this is an interesting game, so they get the respect of that,
And
but it's not as high stakes.
We
How do
didn't
you
hit
see
the
it go?
time limit for the first one anyway, so I do not care.
We used the time limit. We did it.
Do you guys remember back before the start of the season when everyone was talking about the first time these two teams were scheduled to play each other weeks ago? And this was the Ben Johnson quote unquote revenge game. And this was Dan Campbell before the start of the season saying, I didn't need my offensive coordinator. It wasn't just Ben Johnson. And some of the commentary coming out, it looks a little funnier in the light, in the light of the end of the season with how Ben Johnson has the Chicago Bears rolling. And Dan Campbell and the Lions, unfortunately, are left looking for answers on offense. I think ultimately after this game, the answer on defense is get healthy, right? Kelvin Shepherd is that guy. He's that dude. Otherwise, though, I like every time you say, I hate to see Dan Campbell give these sad press conferences because it is sad. And I give the Bears almost every edge in this game other than the fact that the Lions are playing with nothing to lose but pride.
I'm also not ready to say Kelvin Shepherd is that dude. I tend to think we overrate coaches' impact in general, that there's a handful of really special ones, bad, special ones, good. This has been encouraging first season for him, but they're one of the worst defenses in the league over the last 5 or 6 weeks, which is why I really thought about
They've
picking.
been very injured.
They have,
Yeah.
but they were last year too, and there's other injured defenses out there that are playing better. I thought about picking them because I can see the Lions offense really showing up in this game and making it a shootout, and them kind of the proud old Lions, like making them really earn it. So I think it'll be a good game. That first one that you mentioned too, I mean, people were asking Dan Campbell at the end of it, like, were you kind of rubbing it in there? Because they were going for 4th downs and they put up a 50 burger on the Lions. So on the Bears. So there is a scenario here where the Bears absolutely get him back, and it's like incredibly depressing. And Amon-Ra St. Brown doesn't play, and Taylor Decker doesn't play. It's just too early in the week. We don't know, but they might not push guys that are fighting through injuries at this point.
Are we on handshake watch?
I don't think we're on handshake.
Their handshake. I went back to watch it. It was fine. He even whispered like a quick thing in Ben Johnson's ear. I think there's a lot of respect there.
Yeah, and I think it highlights when Dan Campbell said it after that game in Santa Clara, which you brought up last week, Greg. He acknowledged the fact that they may never get there again, and with that group of guys, it was true. And to facilitate the maintenance of that relationship, to have that coaching staff all be there and together, it was a special time for the Detroit Lions. Unfortunately, the way history decides to remember these teams, they're rendered as insignificant because they didn't win those.
Not to us.
Not to us, though.
It's like that's like saying the Andrew Luck Colts didn't matter. It's like I remember them, or the Trent Green Chiefs.
Exactly.
I think too that this is one of those games. I think you're going to try to win. Like, maybe this is not the right way to say it, but like win clean in the sense that you're not going to try to put a lot of pressure on your quarterback. You're not going to do a lot of the things that you're saving for the postseason with the Bears having clinched that spot. Obviously, the stakes are huge, so you have to walk that line. This is a game where you could very feasibly just load up and run the ball well enough.
Yeah.
They've been above average, beyond above average all season. I just think this is one of those games where you just run it until the buzzer starts.
And I don't think the stakes are huge. They know that the Eagles they have a feeling that the Eagles are probably resting their starters. They're already in the pole position.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a question, is the 2 or the 3 seed really that much of a difference? So that is something to keep an eye on in this game. But Ben Johnson, unlike other coaches, has said very clearly that we are playing to win, and I believe him. So I think they're going to play all out in this game, even though they probably won't. They don't necessarily even need to win to keep that 2 seed.
No.
Get Kyle Monangai closer to 1,000. He's not going to make it. I mean, listen, never say never. He's at 769 right now.
1 minute.
So I doubt it. But get our guy. Get our dude.
If
100 more.
If Goff and Gibbs and JMO and the rest of the Lions are there, it's just the defensive issues for the Chicago Bears they're not getting better.
Yeah.
They're actually getting worse.
The Lions. Yeah, I made a list of defenses that were worse in EPA per play since week 12, and they're the exact 5 teams you would expect. The Cowboys, the Commanders, the Jets, the Cardinals, and the Raiders. Those are the only ones worse than the Lions since Week 12, and they're playing a team that's peaking. Just last week really hammered home the idea to me that Luther Burden is special. He is special, and he's coming into his own. And Colston Loveland, for what he unlocks in their offense with his versatility, is just totally integral. And those two guys are absolutely peaking right now. Man, it's so hard to not vote Ben Johnson for Coach of the Year. And yet I have backed, by the way, in that first game. The winner of the NFC West off should win Coach of the Year. My vote. I could understand other people's opinion.
All right. All comes down to one game.
Yes.
For the season-long award. Always love that. The Washington Commanders are on the road taking on those
You got to make a decision sometime. When they're great, you got to separate them somehow.
And they matter more towards the end, especially Week 18. Either way, I digress. The Philadelphia Eagles, Greg, are 7-point favorites. The over/under is 41.5. It will be a great game. Kevin Harlan is on the call, along with Ross Tucker.
Whoa.
And Collins. So they're showing the respect to the Birds. We will enjoy watching it. Are the Birds going to enjoy playing the Commanders here with absolutely nothing at stake?
I think they'll enjoy it because they like to see what Tanner McKee can do. And I think they'll win with Tanner McKee. Talk about respect. I did not know Ross Tucker is like in a fantasy camp this week doing a game with Kevin Harlan. They're showing Ross the respect that he's getting bumped up. I guess Trent Green maybe has a family thing or something. He's off this week, and that's big time. That's exciting for him. For the Eagles, to be clear, Nick Sirianni is being cagey with the media, but I think it's very clear with the way that he's being cagey and the fact that last year they rested in Week 18 and won the freaking Super Bowl, and that the year before they did the opposite and A.J. Brown got hurt in that game. With all of that in mind and the fact that they don't even quote-unquote control their destiny for the 2 seed, or that they'd even particularly want the 2 seed that much anyways, I feel pretty confident that a lot of Eagles, including Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, players like that, will be resting in this game.
Yeah, I would say this is going to be as close to a preseason / this version of the Commanders game that we're going to see between the two teams, because you would absolutely, with the way that these Eagles have totally burned out on the seasons where they've had down seasons, it's been so apparent that the length of not just the season but the postseason has affected them so significantly in the years that they've been bad or that they've fizzled out, and they have to go back. They have to go in and start prepping. This is a lot of people don't realize that this is the time of year for these playoff teams where they do start advancing 2 games ahead. They start building analytics packets and strategy packets and tape packets 2 weeks in advance to make sure that they're almost treating this as a bye week in some ways.
For sure.
And then going, just looking ahead to their next opponent and just hoping that everybody, even their depth guys, stay as healthy as possible.
No, they have to do some guesswork with who the next opponent will be, but you prepare for a couple different guys. And oh, by the way, you can win the game anyways. They rested everyone last year, and they beat the Giants. Tanner McKee played well, and they won by a touchdown anyway. So that happens when the backups win anyways.
And especially, and I don't know, the variance in the game planning of the 2025 Philadelphia Eagles is going to be that significant.
Yeah, right.
Depending on
what
the
are they going to do on offense,
they're
guys?
kind of going to do the same thing that they always do, in which, there's folks highly critical of the second half for Jalen Hurts. I think it was really a whole offense issue. Also, the Bills were out there playing pretty good football as well defensively. That I think some time off would be very, very good for the defending Super Bowl champs, and they're going to get it.
And guys like Lane Johnson, who they're expecting back for the playoffs. It's another week off, but maybe a guy like a Jordan Davis or a Jalen Carter too, that just like you don't want to put any more tread on their tires. For the Commanders, it does sound like it's going to be Josh Johnson again at quarterback. I don't think Mariota is going to be available. And so it's a last go for this Bobby Wagner, Von Miller, Javon Kinlaw Commanders team. I don't know if it'll be their last game in the NFL necessarily, but for some of them, it probably will be. And we'll see. It's a rare, really bad team where the coach is in place, the GM's in place, the quarterback is in place. There might be some coaching staff, adjustments, but we've seen enough. We've talked enough about the Commanders, I feel like, this year. Bye.
Bye.
See you later.
Thanks for your
On
contribution.
to a new roster build model, please, for the love of God.
We'll get some great calls in 2026, Bram. Thank you. for your contributions. Time for Is It In You, fueled by Gatorade. It is the game we'll all be watching on Saturday. Carolina at Tampa Bay, favored by 2.5 at home.
Wow.
The over-under is 43.5. It's on ESPN and ABC because people will be able to watch this game on broadcast television, which I appreciate. Chris Fowler and Dan Orlovsky, along with Louis Riddick, on the call.
Big spot.
Do Baker and the Bucs stop this tragic slide and prevent him from having that look on his face that was on the sideline at the end of the game against the Dolphins?
I don't know. Man, I've been watching these Bucs games and it's been depressing, to be honest, because it's painful clearly for him to be playing quarterback right now. He's pressing too hard in some areas and making mistakes. I don't know if there's things that are clouding his judgment or if he can't move his body fully the way that he wants to. We don't
I thought
know.
he moved great last week.
Really? See,
He had-
I disagree. Some of the torque that he has to get in like I didn't think so. And I think some of the scrambling, sure, was fine, and he looked like Baker on some of those pickups. But getting his full leverage and his full body into some of those throws, and he was short on one, and that was a really bad throw. And it just I don't know. He seems like he's just in a lot of pain to me. And I think this Panthers team, listen, I've given up trying to predict what they're going to do because they are so mercurial. If they get at least one good half out of these receivers, which is usually the case when they do win these games, because I haven't seen it consistently from these Carolina receivers through the course of an entire game, week to week. But if they get one good half out of these guys, then I think that they win this game.
They just played, 2 weeks ago, and that game was pretty evenly played. I wonder if Todd Bowles watches that Seattle tape and be like, I know like he's not like the big press man type of guy, but man, they've got some good cornerbacks. We can be physical against these wide receivers potentially. They have the people to potentially bully you. They benched Tyke Smith in the middle of that game. He was on the wrong end of a couple bad plays as a rookie against Miami, so that maybe they make an adjustment there. And I did not know what to think about this game. And then the Falcons did it. They won on Monday Night Football. And then I realized I want mess. And the mess is the Buccaneers winning this game so that Saints-Falcons can decide the division. And so that the Buccaneers will just have this strange, awkward moment at the end where they didn't win the division, but they did win the game, but they just have to wait until tomorrow and start rooting on a Saints team that Jason Light was burying on Twitter not that long ago.
Kind of feels like a microcosm of their entire season.
It just feels like the most
Perfect for
NFC
the division.
Yeah.
I just want it for that. Sorry, Panthers fans, and I'll respect you if it happens the other way.
Well, they have the personnel to do it. I don't know that they will.
Mm-hmm.
The Seahawks just crowding the line of scrimmage and giving Bryce really no opportunity. They weren't threatened deep to the extent where you could see even on the broadcast tape like 10 guys there on the screen, and it's like, okay, so there's zero respect for the Panthers to get anything deep. And maybe that's how you approach things, but I don't think the Bucs will come at it that way.
But they've also given up so many big plays. Canales, after the game, or on Monday rather, had some interesting quotes where he was like, Bryce had plenty of time in that game. He kind of put it on Bryce a little bit. Like he was like, offensive line was not an issue in that game, which fair enough. He did take ownership of, I need to do a better job getting receivers open, McMillan specifically. They started in 13 personnel that game, so with the tight ends on the field, and Jadavian Sanders immediately got hurt.
Yeah.
So maybe that messed with them. He's going on IR, so that's one less weapon. They are just short on weapons right now. And so, man, with the Buccaneers, considering the personnel that they have and the experience that they have, the players throughout the roster, you should win this game.
Yeah.
As bad as losing 7 of 8 is, to get swept by the Panthers in a 3-week, considering the rosters, that's bad. That's bad coaching.
Here's why I think I like what you said about walking up to the line of scrimmage and playing a little bit more press man, Greg, with these DBs. They can, and the 3 of them are playing well and they're healthy. And the thing is about these Panthers receivers is that Ted McMillan is having a great season, but the first half of that game 2 weeks ago, he was being bullied. Like he was just being bodied around until he'd made an incredible catch and really muscled the ball for this catch, like that's when the tone shifted for this entire group. And so I think with these Bucs, the thing that I think could convince Todd Bowles to break tendency a little bit is how visibly and audibly disappointed the offense and the rest of the defense is and how these games are going. Mike Evans walking off the field, and Mike Evans, the captain, walking off the field in disappointment. These guys watching in disbelief as the defense just gets pushed backwards down the field at the end of these games. I think that Todd Bowles also watches that and is like, man, I got to get a spark back into this team.
They seem a little out of ideas for like on either side of, like, because if they had them, they would have done it. And
Exploit them.
right, like the same things keep happening. They used to be a great run defense. They're not really that anymore. Levante David's getting picked on. They're playing JPP. Jason Pierre-Paul, we hadn't mentioned this on the show, is in the NFL right now playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He played 16 snaps last week. Did you know that Deion Jones is in the NFL and playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Granted, it was only 2 snaps. I think he's mostly special teams. But I was Googling. I was like, is that Deion Jones? Deion Jones?
That's the same Deion Jones.
It's the same. It's the same guy. And yet, we'll see. Tristan Wirfs is expected to come back. I do think it comes down to Baker. If I disagree with you guys a little bit, because I think he has played pretty well the last couple weeks, except for just a handful of like awful reps. And I thought, he had some great throws last week, and he's scrambling around. Like, I think it's possible for them to turn it around. If not, we have one of the worst division winners in a while. The Panthers have been outscored this season by 67 points. Unless they had a huge result here, it would be one of the worst division winners in terms of point differential. I think Baker and them can get it going for one game, and then they can watch on Sunday who goes to the playoffs.
And it would be easier for me to believe that if not for weeks of the consecutive same issues for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where I'm thinking, unless there is some sort of Miyagi situation or like a sensu bean or just general alien healing for Baker Mayfield, whatever's causing the problem for the past several weeks, I don't know that it goes away.
But they've been in all these games. They've actually lost 4 straight by, I think, 4 points or less. They're one of the first teams ever to. So it's just been these late game vibes. And to be fair, the Panthers are the teams that has the late game.
But yeah, the late game vibes, and also the swings have gone often in the Panthers' direction for the positive.
Yes,
through the season, and the Bucs have seemed to lose their luck.
Fair, which is, I don't know what to think, but I know what I'm rooting for.
They had Theo Weiss Jr. running down the field by himself last week.
I'm rooting for mess. I'm rooting for the ultimate NFC South moment, which we will talk about a little after the break and get to the rest of the NFC slate. Back on NFL Daily. Every week 18, it's a little similar. And it's piecing through how different coaches are talking about whether they were playing their starters or not. Now, Sean McVay, after losing that Monday night game, said about his Rams, we need to play better football. So after resting starters in week 18, 2 years in a row, I believe, he says they will play. Now, just saying they're playing, especially in an emotional moment right after a game, is not necessarily the same thing as they're playing the entire game. So that could be maybe where they split the baby, as it were, against Arizona.
And giving us an opportunity to facilitate one of our favorite pastimes in the newsroom, asking why Matthew Stafford is still in this particular football game. And if he were, he would be in the game against the Arizona Cardinals, who are at SoFi Stadium against the Rams, who are favored by 7.5 points. The over-under is 46.5. Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, Megan Levy on the call. It seems our friends in Vegas, Greg, are banking that the starters will not play a significant amount of time, considering the way.
No, they're hedging. I mean, they're in between. This is not. It's never a week to really put down your hard-earned money, because this stuff is unpredictable.
Maybe any of them.
We're not allowed to, and that's made my life much more stress-free. Because man, I don't know. I could see him having a change of thought during the week and playing a couple drives, feeling good about those couple drives, and then making a change. But who knows? Maybe maybe he will just play all the way to win because obviously they are not happy. They haven't played a complete game in too long. They did beat the Cardinals though 45-17 a month ago, so that was not too long.
Yeah, a little late stat padding happening in that one too by the Cardinals offense. Okay, so here's the thing. This is how Sean McVay walks up to the line of saying he's pissed at his players without actually ever saying he's pissed at his players.
Mm-hmm.
Like he will never. The only time he ever walked over that line was the Jared Goff fiasco at the end of that 2020 season. So this is basically him telling us what he thinks without actually saying it. The other thing here is he can hedge quite a bit behind the fact that a lot of these guys are injured in the first place. So the Rob Havensteins, the Alaric Jacksons, the Kevin Dotsons, the Devontae Adams, who, quote unquote, according to the broadcast this week, was running the full route tree but wasn't playing.
I mean, you could see it when they showed that. He looked great.
He looks great. He looks also like there is no pain at all. Like he looks awesome. That's the thing, is he knows he can say that because he can also hide behind the fact that the guys who need to be playing for them in the playoffs and win football games for them and are part of the reason they win football games are actually going to be they're going to be able to hide behind the injury report and say, well, those guys probably weren't going to play in the
Stafford, like Stafford and Puka are kind of the guys that tell you.
And I would say I doubt they're in the game for very long.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Garoppolo, I know, is like antsy to get a couple handoffs, you know? And this to me is more him commenting on what he thinks about his defense. It's still a relatively young group, and there's been a couple of times this season where perhaps this defense is reading its own press a little bit too much, metaphorically speaking. Like this can be a dominant group. They can be coached really well, but it always seems like when the hype on them is at its highest and Chris Shula is being talked about for head coaching jobs and all of these things, that's when they take a step back and allow some big time breaks and explosive plays again. So that's where I think he wants them to play because he wants them to stay juiced up. And I know this team well, and I also think that they don't think that a bye week, even though it helps a lot of people get healthy who probably won't play this week anyway, I think they would prefer to not have downtime. Even a mini bye, they came out so flat. I just think they're wired as a group that they just need to not overthink things and just keep playing. That's really how I think they're all wired starting at the top.
Patriots did that a lot, and then they didn't do it. It kind of depended on what he thought that the team needed in that season. So I do think it's different. They also, and this isn't playing into how, I think that was all excellent. It's spot on.
Actually.
The Sean McVay, I did not say actually, will know in this game, quote unquote, if they care about getting the 5 seed, they'll know before the game starts whether they have a chance at it or not. Mm-hmm. They should be rooting for the Seahawks to beat the 49ers. If the Seahawks beat the 49ers, the Rams have a chance to move up a spot. And I would think they'd rather be a 5 seed. It's just a higher seed. You have a chance of hosting an NFC championship game potentially against the 49ers if the two of them would make it. And you'd play the NFC South winner, which would be either the Bucs or the Panthers. Either way, that's going to be, I think, on paper, an easier matchup than the 6 seed has.
And to me, the most functional thing that you have if you're playing guys in this game is an opportunity to, once you know what you need, to game plan and evaluate how the guys are playing in the particular way that you want to deploy them when you get into the postseason. But I also think if doing all this to try to get a first round bye has value because you don't have to play that game, then here's a game where you don't have to play.
Right. So and Blake Corum got banged up. And Corum and Kyron Williams went crazy in the first game. That was the game where they had more yards and 13 personnel than any team in NFL history by 100+ yards or something. So they just got heavy, and they do have plenty of tight ends, so they can play all of them, I guess, as much as they want. But yes, currently they are in the 6th seed, but they could move up to the 5 with a little help on Saturday from Seattle.
Another team that doesn't necessarily need the results to go a particular way, but the Green Bay Packers on the road at Brian Flores' defense, the Minnesota Vikings. Not to limit KOC, just want to highlight what the Vikings defense has done down the stretch here. They are 6.5 point favorites. The over/under is 36.5. It's a CBS game. Spiro Ditas, Adam Archuleta, and Adita Kikumbwala are there on the call. Greg, how How much is Matt LaFleur interested in being a part of this participation?
Not at all. And he's made that clear. He's going to rest him. And that's why it's early in the week and these things will change. That 6.5, I was pointing out, like, some of these games that stay away because they're unpredictable. I think there's a big enough chance that Clayton Tune is starting this game. In terms of, I kind of expect Clayton Tune to possibly start this game. That's not enough against a Brian Flores defense. The crazy thing here, because I don't think this game really matters unless you're holding Minnesota over 8.5 wins on the year. At the last second, they're going to sneak in for me. Let's go Vikings. Unless that's the case, the most interesting thing about this game is that it could be Brian Flores' last with Minnesota getting spicy.
What is I think probably not the way Kevin O'Connell wanted or expected this to go would be to be answering questions about this in the last week of the season versus talking about a postseason run versus talking about all the things that they hoped they would be talking about. Instead, they're talking about how Brian Flores has no remaining years left on his contract with Minnesota. He will be a free agent.
Sure, that was purposeful by him.
And the thing that I find very, very interesting is this defense is also top heavy in terms of its age and experience, partially by design, because you need to have players who have seen a lot of football in order to be able to run this quality and caliber of complex defense. But I do think that this is really interesting to me because what if, say, Matt LaFleur loses Jeff Hafley to a head coaching job this season? Who do you think would be the most fun defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers with a healthy Micah Parsons next season, but the man who will be staring them down on the opposite sideline?
He could get a head coaching job.
And not to discount that either. To say, I do also think he'll be getting head coaching interviews.
I think he might get a head coaching job, but if not, I think he has had a better free agent year than Alec Pierce. I mean, he could set new boundaries for what coordinators
he's going to be
make
making
in the NFL.
Vic Fangio money.
Because you can't tell me that Brian Flores isn't worth more than a lot of the lower tier head coaches. Like, it's so proven what he's going to bring. And the Cowboys have been mentioned, like reported as like a possible suitor, but I don't think they'd be the only one. In Minnesota, you would think like the tie would go to Minnesota, but I don't know what the situation there is. And they would probably step up and match whatever crazy offers he's getting elsewhere. And it's like great for Brian Flores if that happens.
Yeah.
Well, I think the personnel, and again, like, yeah, some of them are elevated in age, but you talk about a guy like they drafted a couple of years ago in Dallas Turner who can rush. You know, people slight him for his ability to rush, but his ability to drop is a big part of being in this defense. And Andrew Van Ginkel, I think the tie is with these guys that he's been able to coach, and also with the Vikings hopefully ponying up the money to make him the highest paid coordinator in football because he deserves it. And, you know, to see this whole thing work to the extent that it could, whereas, you know, you go other places, especially if we're talking about a place like Dallas, is Brian Flores going to be able to have the input to get the?
That doesn't seem like a great fit.
No,
I also
Green Bay maybe.
There are going to be some bad head coaching jobs available.
For sure.
And that's the thing. I don't want Brian Flores for all of his talent and ability. This is selfish. I don't want him to go somewhere that sets him up for failure. I would love to see him continue to cook these offenses up and down the field and make the most money possible.
Yeah, this team is.
I personally
if this
would
team
like to see it.
Can get better quarterback play, they're in healthier and a better offensive line. Like they're not far away. JJ McCarthy, by the way, might be coming back for this game. I think they would like that to happen. Speaking of those Cowboys, I do not think we even need the full 3 minutes on this game. I don't know. Maybe we do.
The Cowboys are 3.5-point favorites against Jackson Dart and the New York Giants. It's on Fox. Kevin Kugler, Moose Johnston calling the game for his old team, and Allison Williams. Again, it's 3 minutes in parentheses.
Okay, I said that, and now there are some interesting things here. They cut Trevon Diggs today.
Oh, yeah.
They did?
News. We have a little news.
That was weird.
Well, no, I mean...
Not weird that it happened, but weird that it happened. To do it before Week 18 is kind of shoving the player's nose in it.
Well, I also think it makes it more difficult doing it now. It seems like it's been simmering or building toward this for a while. I think it makes it more difficult for a team to immediately claim him on waivers.
Nobody's
for example. Nobody would.
Right?
No, that's what I'm saying. Do it now because nobody's going to. But then you have an offloading period through the entire offseason. that's the thing. This has been simmering for a while, since training camp, since before
since
training
last year, yes.
And that's the thing is, I think the timing element of it is just to make it so he can't,
It's lame.
just immediately get scooped up by somebody else. And that's, again, to your point, it's a little bit of a, haha, we win
What
kind
would
of thing.
what would prevent somebody from?
I just don't think they're going to like his contract. I'll look at it, but coming off of he hasn't been able to show
For a
that he
week.
is 100% healthy, and then you have to take on the contract, which
Because I
I don't think has any guaranteed money into next year. So you're right. I mean, his base salary this year was only $8.5 million
It's hard.
guaranteed money.
So if,
what
if
I
you
think
have
is
the
hard-
space,
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. But I think what's hard with a player who's coming off an injury is you want to, before you make a decision like that, you do want to see what the actual physical return is, like what how ready that player is.
The only other little thing for this game is the Giants do have a path to having the number 1 overall pick. Here is what they need. They're at the 2 spot. 7 teams could get as high as 2. So if they won, they could really mess themselves up. But here's what they need. They need to lose, of course. They need the Raiders to win against the Chiefs. And then they need 2 of the following teams to lose out of 4. Win out of 4. Seattle, Atlanta, Cleveland, and Chicago. If 2 of those 4 teams won and the Raiders won, then the Giants have the number 1 overall pick. So all hope is not lost if that's what you're looking for.
looking for draft abolition.
Yes.
So that
I like you want. Do you want a lottery or what do you want?
just not
would-
this.
I wouldn't want to be claimed if I were Trayvon Diggs. I'd want to pick my next spot.
Yeah,
know?
and
Yeah.
hopefully, the capacity to choose that. Maybe somebody will at least express some interest at this point.
Abdul Carter, by the way, is publicly stumping for Defensive Rookie of the Year, which I applaud.
Yeah,
You
it's cool to
Let's,
want
let's
things.
turn this into
Yeah.
like an Oscars race.
Is it not already?
Also, this is very loose reporting here by me, but great reporting by ESPN. A team would still have to pay him about almost $500K just for this week if he's on their roster,
Yeah.
regardless
it's
of whether or not he's active. That's it, I know, but right now, teams are right down to the wire looking at special teams moves and guys who are going to be unhealthy, healthy, whatever. Just some context, that's all.
Let's get to a game that could really.
We used all 3 minutes.
We did it.
No way.
Well, there was stuff.
Over some
there was stuff.
I don't think anybody's like, they went too long on that.
Sneaky stuff.
Well, except Eric, maybe.
Eric famously
He's
just
done
wants like a 25-minute show.
Greg set these times. I didn't set the times, okay? Like
I don't know. You seem to. Did you pick the font and the color though?
You did,
That's
you
just
did.
so everybody can see them.
They
on
are
the paper.
synced up. There's 3 special 7-minute games and 3 3-minute games. Yes.
I'm going to lobby for this one to be 5 minutes because considering what could have taken place before this game, Jourdan, the New Orleans Saints and the
Oh my
Atlanta
gosh.
Falcons could be playing to decide the division for other teams. The Falcons favored by 3 points off their Monday Night Football win. The over-under is 43.5. Chris Myers and Mark Schlereth and Jen Hale are on the call. Can the Jedi Council, the Monstars that are the Falcons once they are eliminated, stop the red-hot New Orleans?
These are the 2 best teams in the division.
Oh, this is so weird and disappointing, yet also equally fun because you see what they could be and they just never were until it was too late. I just love it. I think beating the Rams in an island game, the team that came into the game being talked about as the best team in football, I think that helped Raheem Morris quite a bit in terms of the job security. Now, they may make moves still. He may make other moves as well. They may change their front office, all of those types of things. But winning like that, finishing the season like this, and winning a game like that,
You got to win this week, though, then, too, by that logic. If it's,
I
you know,
just
if you
think
lose to the Saints 20 to
this is not
nothing,
the
you
sa-
lose all
it's
that.
not the same logic, Greg, because it's not the same caliber and quality of team. This is
Yeah.
a very red hot Saints team, sure, but it's. I hate to say it because I know the listeners are gonna eye roll, and they should. This is a really obnoxious statement I'm gonna make, but if you beat a Sean McVay team in prime time with an MVP caliber quarterback, and a lot of it you do on defense at first to help start the offense off the right way, then yeah, I think you have a little bit more of a cushion than you had.
I just think even the way that game flowed, you sort of saw the strengths, you saw the weaknesses. Like Raheem Morris is one of my least favorite guys to watch in terms of game management. They've had no clue what to do offensively, and the way they handled that game at the end, they were kind of lucky to escape.
had a good challenge. Though.
Hearing Matt Ryan is possibly involved in becoming part of the front office, that's obviously not a great sign. So I just think any owner that's capricious enough to change his mind based on these last 4 games, then this game is going to matter too. Big time rivalry. You got Kirk playing for his future. You got Tyler Shuck playing for the Offensive Rookie of the Year potentially. You got Raheem Morris coaching for his future. Like, I love it. I need it. And they probably are the 2 best teams in the NFC South right now. I mean, they've just beaten the other teams, so I got to give them credit. They're both on their winning streaks. You got the Staley-sons. You got Honey Badger on Twitter giving Brandon Staley some side-eye because saying that he wanted to bench like Cam Jordan and Demario Davis earlier in the year or something. He's like, yeah, these guys that he wanted to bench are the ones that are playing the best. I'm just like, give it all to me. This is what the NFC South is all about.
I love mess. This is great.
Our season-long Sans discussion, who would have thought? It was the Staley Sans the whole time.
All along.
The entire time.
This is some Scooby-Doo right here.
Well, and honestly, because there were large stretches of Monday night where I felt, not that, because you have to give the ball to Bijan as much as, if Bijan is within 75% of himself being tired or not, you get him the ball. There were large stretches where Kirk Cousins, it wasn't just play calling, they were hiding Kirk Cousins to prevent what could have possibly happened there.
And it almost did a few times. He just threw it in the middle of the field.
They were masking Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I would say that. And, that's what makes it difficult within the Staley Sans to be completely confident in this, because the Shuck Olave situation is so hot right now. And I recognize what A.J. Terrell did against Puka, the pass breakup of the year, preventing the pass catch of the year, where it's going to be great football. And I know we malign the division, but I'm really looking forward to it.
No, I really am too. And I challenge anyone to come up with a different scenario that's been ever like this. But I'm pretty sure, and this requires the Bucs to win on Saturday, to be clear. Bucs got to win that game. Panthers are in if they beat the Bucs. If the Bucs win that game, there's never been, I don't think, another situation like this in the history of the NFL, where entering the game, the 2 teams are playing each other to decide the division championship, and neither one of them can win the division. And the fact that it's the Falcons-Saints, the best rivalry in the league that I've been stumping forever, is the best rivalry and the dumbest rivalry, the rivalry that brought us Jameis Winston and Jamal Williams, making Dennis Allen mad a couple years ago, and so many other great moments. It's just perfect. I need it. I need the Bucs to win. Win that game, Tampa.
Happy for Saints fans.
Yes.
Saints fans.
Yeah.
But you know what? What's great about it too is okay, the Saints are going to be the Bucs proxy, because if the Saints win, then the Bucs, win the division. And this all is assuming Bucs win on Saturday. And the Falcons are going to be the Panthers proxy, and the Panthers fans will be rooting for the Falcons. The thing that's cool about it is this game still means a lot to the Saints and the Falcons fans, especially the Saints, who would love to go into the offseason with this big-time winning streak and Shuck playing well. I'll tell you what, if they lost this game to the Falcons and Shuck throws a couple interceptions, it's kind of like Ohio State, Michigan, where it ruins a little bit of everything that happened over the last month. Little Ryan Day action. I'm assigning myself this game. I didn't care. Like, we were doing the Shuck.
Oh yeah, I can totally tell.
The Shuck assignments earlier. I was like, he can have whatever he wants. Just give me
Saints,
Falcons. That is the NFC. We went through it in order. Let's go and take a break. But when we're back on the other side, we're gonna go through AFC seeding 1 through 7. Biggest game of the week on Sunday night. Back on NFL Daily. Not as much drama in the AFC overall. They've got only one 7-minute game. But that's going to be 4th up. That's the big AFC North battle. And frankly, the battle at the top for the top couple seeds, the drama has been kind of removed, I would say, over the last few days.
Well, let's spice up that drama. It's time for hot matchups presented by Wingstop. The Los Angeles Chargers at the Denver Broncos, who are favored by 12.5 points. The over-under is 37.5. It is Jim and Tony and Tracy. It is CBS 1. we spend 5 minutes discussing, Greg.
Maybe we won't.
Why is it 12.5 points?
Well, because Trey Lance is starting. That's enough.
Disrespect.
Yeah, but it's not just about Trey Lance. The fact that Trey Lance is starting indicates Keenan Allen is probably sitting. And you can't sit everyone, but Khalil Mack and Quentin Johnston. And I think it makes a lot of sense. I'm actually proud of Jim Harbaugh for doing it.
He's not trying to just be the tough guy and gut through it.
And I really think it could help them. All that matters for them is winning a playoff game. And because the Patriots, who are their most likely opponent, are going to be playing to win on Sunday, I think that's a little bit of an advantage here. And most importantly, you're not even thinking about who their opponent, it's just an advantage for them because this is a team that has a lot of injuries and they've done great this year, but there's no sense in fighting just to fight. And this was going to be a tough one anyways, and now you can let poor Trey Lance step out there. We have another game here. It's just like these sacrificial lambs a little bit. Although Trey Lance looked good enough in the preseason that I'm curious to watch him.
Yeah, and really what I think they'll need to do a lot is move his spot. You've seen some of the Justin Herbert games where they're trying to mitigate pressure on Justin Herbert. A lot of the same principles will apply because Trey Lance can move and can run these like long bootlegs and all of these things that just help change the launch point and make it hard for defenses to really get after him the way that they want to. The Broncos, I mean, they are out here trying to make statement after statement, and especially with the Texans surging the way that they are in the AFC, and understanding the possible stakes, clinching the 1 seed and a first-round bye with a win here. This is it has Broncos put foot on gas. Chargers just say, okay, all right, you do you. Everyone stay healthy and kind of just ease on by.
And it's great luck for them, Denver, that the Chargers aren't playing for the division. That's the outcome of losing to the Texans. It does set up a weird scenario that there's nothing they can do about. But by the time they play again, it'll be 4 weeks since they really played like another top-level team. 4 weeks is a long time. They played the Jaguars. Jaguars won that game. Then you have a Chiefs game. That's a real football game, so I'm kind of diminishing the Chiefs here. But that's not like that's not a playoff caliber opponent. Then you have this week where you're playing backups. Then you have a week off. It's just an interesting way that they'll approach, the playoffs. And I think ultimately it's a good thing to just advance to the divisional round. But they're just going to have to manage that and figure out how to start that divisional round game with guns blazing, because it'll have been a little while between serious games.
And at least the fact that it is Trey Lance, and maybe we get to see some new and innovative things from Gregg Roman and something else for the Broncos to hold their attention to, because it's a really good team.
Right, that's the thing, is they're still professionals who are trying, so it's not like it's going to just be like a preseason game by any means.
It was a totally different scenario because they were trying to get into the playoffs last year, but wasn't that like a 38-0 butt kicking against rest of the Raiders in Kansas City? I know a different scenario, but like
not that different.
They get up for these games, is what I'm saying. Sean
Pretty
Payton has no problem.
Yeah,
no
pretty
problem.
similar.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess last time it was just to get in, but this time
that's what I'm saying.
The Broncos, one thing I had an eye on in that last week was they lost their center, what's his name, Wattenberg, for the season, who's been great. And it seemed like
paid him too.
It seemed like they didn't miss a thing for what it's worth. PFF graded his back, the guy who came in, Forsyth, very high. And if Sean Payton has a secret sauce, it is identifying, coaching up,
1 minute.
interior offensive line. All-time
pick
great.
The Chargers when they're down.
All-time great.
Twist the knife.
At that. So this guy's been in the program for 2 years, and he has been great in his career at just replacing these guys on the offensive line and them being fantastic. That's all we got.
The other half of that number 1 seed in the AFC equation, the odds makers showing a little more respect to Quinn Ewers, who got a win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week. The Miami Dolphins at the New England Patriots, who were favored by 10.5 points. The over-under is 45.5. Joe Davis, G-Reg, and Pam Oliver on the call. The 2 points of respect for Quinn Ewers. Can Quinn Ewers put the fear, Jourdan, in Gregg's New England
Did
Patriots.
you just hear Greg say, "Oh, I might have to take that"?
Greg
game?
Olsen on a Patriots
When
call?
you-
That's a first, I
When
think.
you sit there and tell me every week, "Oh, you already picked this one as your game. I can't give you 2 of your top
They
choices."
spread them around usually.
So
yes. Spread
hey,
'em
just
around.
saying, double standard here.
I
Maybe I want this.
I serve at the
I'm
behest
the
of
Quinn Ewers correspondent, apparently.
NFL
maybe,
Daily host Gregg Rosenthal.
maybe I.
Thank you, Patrick.
Maybe I.
You can have the first pick this week.
Do you want this one? Probably not.
I just want you guys to be happy with your games. Ultimately,
I'm happy with all the games. They're all beautiful, beautiful.
Patrick watches in the 2 quad boxes, so he's got us all covered. I appreciate that. Everyone's got different strategies.
I think for a lot of these teams, the most important thing about these Week 18 games is the immediate aftermath of them. We're going to have a lot of questions answered about the future of Mike McDaniel and Anthony Weaver, who for weeks now we've heard are likely staying in place in Miami, but we'll just have to see. Meanwhile, it does look like they've found at minimum the backup quarterback, maybe a bridge quarterback in Quinn Ewers. We're also going to get more clarity after and then the weeks beyond this game about Tua and his future. Just a lot of things that start to unfold immediately after the buzzer sounds on this one.
Ewers is a unique player just because he has a funky throwing motion and he has a Ryan Tannehill like ability to be seemingly unaware that there's like a 300-pound man about to just absolutely crush him. Like where like his body doesn't even tense up. He just and it's dangerous.
Just naive, just blissfully unaware.
Yeah, but I think most quarterbacks are never like that. You know what I mean? Because they're human. They react to something that's like right in front of them. But he'll throw it, and there is someone that is about to absolutely level him. It makes you worried a little bit because I think you need to be big to take those sort of hits. So
But he's not small.
no, but he's not Ryan Tannehill, is he? I don't know. Or Cam Newton is another one that comes to mind that did that.
Yeah, but
quite a
you
bit.
could argue Cam Newton over time should never have been taking those hits anyway. I mean, that's unfortunate injuries.
I don't like that 10.5 for the Patriots. I think this is a tricky game. Are you guys? You're making a face.
Well, I understand that the litany of injuries for the Chargers, the situation where they don't necessarily have anything to play for, and then the Dolphins being, the up and coming rising Quinn Ewers, and really trying to save their job situation. But it's still a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
For sure.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the other side of the ball, like I know it was against the Bucs, but you saw the vision. Bradley Chubb's having a monster game. Jordan Brooks is having a monster season. The 2 young rookie defensive tackles are making some plays. Sealer, like this was a game that went down to the buzzer the first time they played. And you can say, okay, well the Patriots are a different team now. Well, like the Dolphins are relatively a different team early too. It reminds me of a couple Patriots losses to Miami. I know historically it doesn't mean anything, but their division opponents, the Patriots are quite banged up. I think they're in a tough spot because they want to get that 1 seed in theory, but they know it's very unlikely. Do they really care about the 2 seed? They have a lot of injuries. And so I think they'll be conservative with guys like Will Campbell and Milton Williams who are trying to come back for the playoffs. Robert Spillane is another one. But they also have a lot of players. They are the most injured they've been all season right now. And so I don't know if Mike Vrabel is going to go all out. Maybe he'll take a McVay approach. Maybe he'll accept even backing up to the 3 seed if they have to. I'm not sure because they need
1 minute.
I mean, they would need the Chargers backups to win to get that 1 seed. I don't know. It's just a weird situation.
And happy Bakemas to everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and
Tom Brady lost to a Week 18 Dolphins team, and they lost the 1 seed in that game. He lost to a Week 18 Dolphins team on the way to ending his career in New England the next week to Mike Vrabel. So it happened. He once lost to Nick Saban, I remember, in the final week of this.
So there's
How
so
about
many
that?
parallels
Yes,
where if this does happen, Drake May is Tom Brady.
there you go.
The transitive property of equality.
Speaking of equality, unfortunate that the nature of the shifting importance of games left this run by Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars off of the conversation
Oh,
because the Tennessee Titans are on the road in Duval taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are 12.5-point favorites. The over-under 47.5. Adam Amin, Drew Brees, and Christina Fink are on the call, where the Jags are just one of the hottest teams in football right now. What are we doing, guys?
You know what?
When are we gonna start respecting the Jacksonville Jaguars?
I think this game could be a banger. I think this game has banger
It's
potential.
yours. It's yours.
I've
had Drew Brees for 5 straight weeks. He's fine. He actually is fine.
He's doing better.
He's fine. He's fine. He has some interesting quarterback points. The personality's not like, 100% there.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah.
Listen. Yes, Jacksonville is a wagon, and offensive, defensive, special teams, everything is rolling. It's great. Tennessee has been frisky for the entire second half of the season. They're a difficult matchup just because you don't really quite know what they are and how they're going to play you. Quarterback can play. I do think this has banger potential. Watching Jacksonville approach last week's game, where yes, they still won and they did what good teams do and they won a game they're supposed to win, but they got a little too cute with some of the strategy. They tried some stuff at times that maybe they just are seeing if it works and want to throw it away. Obviously, they're getting big production out of their receiving core. Trevor Lawrence is having an incredible season as well. This defense is awesome, especially their front seven. But I do think, Tennessee has just been frisky. And it's Jeffrey Simmons doing random stuff that's
Sounds like you're taking that 12 and a
crazy.
half.
I don't even know what that means, to be honest with you. But I feel like, what does that mean? I take
It
Tennessee?
means they keep it closer than that.
Does that mean I pick a team, or does that?
Yeah, it means the Titans keep it closer than 12 and a half points.
Okay. I don't know what this. I'm famously unaware of what all of these things are.
And it's a good place to be because Greg is in it.
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
It's not that hard to figure out. It just says minus 12. You add the 12.
Listen, I have had people have to explain what a push is to me before.
Yes,
okay?
that's
So
sort of
that's
the
thing. I
lingo
don't
is
know.
tricky.
Yeah.
Here's lingo that Patrick will understand. Trevor Lawrence is the newest first-time member of Quarterback Island, and that's despite it being more exclusive than it's ever been. It came down to eight quarterbacks, and Trevor Lawrence not only made it, but made it with some room to spare. Everyone agreed. He wasn't even the last guy on, so there's some respect for
And
you.
you'll notice Greg hit us with the famous passive voice. Greg shrunk it to 8.
Yeah, and I was glad to have briefly been involved
We
Yes.
in the experience. It felt like I walked into a
appeared
prayer
as
group.
if an angel on the horizon.
You know what I want to point out with this
Prayer
game,
group.
which is very important.
We
This
all had
game-
connected pinkies.
Yeah.
The reason this number is so big is because this game unquestionably is really important to the Jaguars. There's no vagueness about their motivation. It's a big deal for the Jaguars to win a division. They need to win this game
Yes.
to win a division, to get a home game.
Big game.
Yeah, to get a home game. They have a chance if they win and the Patriots lose to move up. They would move up to the 2 seed, which potentially would be Jags Chargers in that scenario. The Bills are probably the 6th seed, so who knows if the Patriots would care enough to try to avoid the Bills. I don't know. But either way, the Jaguars being I don't think want to go on the road in the playoffs. They want to have a home game and make all that extra playoff money for their owner.
And they deserve. I think, considering the way they've played, they deserve that home game.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if that 12 and a half hits because as exciting as Cam Ward and the Titans are, it seems like it's freelancing that's done it almost exclusively
That's what I love
down
it.
the stretch.
Chaos
Like,
potential.
and chaos is how the Titans operate. Difficult to operate chaotically when the Jags, to your point, Jourdan, are just trying stuff because the plans have been working to the extent where they're just trying stuff late.
A guy that's gotten on my radar lately, not just Travon Walker, who's playing outstanding. Van Lanen. What is it? Is it Cole Van Lanen for the Jacksonville Jaguars, who came in at some point this season and has started, I believe, at 4 different offensive line positions.
Yes.
And is their left tackle heading into the playoffs. It seems like it's permanent now, and it's played pretty well. Walker Little, who was there and got a huge contract as a bridge, swing tackle, is now at guard and gave up a lot of pressures. Granted, it was against, good competition last week, but he's now at guard, and so that's like a sneaky subplot.
I had that game a few weeks ago talking about Cole Van Laney coming in and looked great right from
Stabilized it.
Yeah.
It's time for marquee matchups presented by Hard Rock Bet on Sunday Night Football. The Baltimore Ravens are 3.5-point favorites, Greg, over the Pittsburgh Steelers. The over-under is 41.5. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, Melissa Stark. Football Night in America will happen before the game. They'll have the weird thing where they just abbreviate Football Night in America and it says FNIA. And you're like, does that say final? I don't know. It's weird to look at the screen. But then the game happens.
Yes.
What happens in the football game,
Greg? My head says Steelers. It just feels like what they're going to do. They're just going to win this game when they just look so bad. But my heart is rooting for the Ravens because I think that makes for the best playoffs. It makes for the best story. A world in which Patrick Claybon is happy and that the Ravens at the very last second get their stuff together and go on a playoff run would be very intriguing to me. A Texans-Ravens first round matchup.
Yep.
Which would be very interesting,
Ideal.
and it's been a good matchup for the Ravens in recent years, but obviously different teams. The whole thing is great, and yet it all seems impossible to analyze because we don't know if Lamar Jackson is playing or not, and I asked around, and nobody knows. I don't think the Ravens know, to be fair, at this point in the week. They're just going to wait and see. I can see a world where Tyler Huntley helps them win this game, but it's much less likely. I think we can recognize that, right? Please.
Yeah, no, yes. Despite the,
Yes.
Again, how about I not even acknowledge that idea and that concept and talk about the injuries that also the Pittsburgh Steelers are dealing with in this game, because Darnell Washington, literally huge for this team and the way that they would like to approach things. And granted, it was a unique situation where I think slightly preventing the sack record was one thing, but also preventing Myles Garrett from hitting Aaron Rodgers was another thing. And there's no Myles Garrett on the Baltimore Ravens. But they do need to be able to get the ball down the field. There will be no DK Metcalf in this game. And I would
probably no TJ Watt, according to Pro Football Talk. Mike Tomlin said he was more optimistic this week than recent weeks, but Pro Football Talk had sources that thought TJ Watt was not going to be ready to be back for this game. So, some of the most important players.
I wonder if you see if Lamar is coming back first, and then you just decide whether TJ Watt is.
I think TJ Watt's playing if TJ Watt has any chance at playing, but
thing,
they can't let him do that.
The thing that strikes me is, like, Greg, you said that this game feels like a Steelers win. Like, it just feels in your head. I don't think that. To me, this feels like a Baltimore Ravens. The Steelers without Darnell Washington, who dictates a significant portion of their blocking surface, not just because he is a massive human, but because of the concepts that they run. And then also no deep threat. You cannot trust that they can run the ball the way that they had been when they were at their best. I think you could say probably the same for the Ravens in terms of the run game, but I would trust a Ravens team starting to pick itself up right now more than I would trust the Pittsburgh Steelers winning this game.
Oh, that's all the reasons why my head says Steelers, because I've just been through this so many times that this team...
Is there lunch on the line?
This team has no chance to go on a long run. This is not a good team. And they've just, nobody is surprised that they lost to the Browns last week. That's what they do. And this is also what they do, is just find a way to sneak in somehow. But no, it doesn't make sense logically. I think the players are better for Baltimore. I think getting to see Derrick Henry play like that last week was incredible. I think Baltimore should have a coaching advantage. And yet,
I'm just saying my head and my heart say the Steelers lose this game.
Yeah. And look, we only have to look to a couple weeks ago to this matchup. Now this one goes to Pittsburgh, and it's tough to beat a team twice in a row. Baltimore, just recently did it. But everything's upside down. Chris Boswell is coming up short for the Steelers.
That's the most wild part about this, is seeing Boswell spray them around the goalpost, and also seeing Falele have the game of his career against the Green Bay Packers.
Up is down, down is up.
where I think the fact that the Packers are a non-common opponent who are generally beat up right now and everything going in the opposite direction there, where I don't know if we can extrapolate like a similar performance up front against the Steelers team that's very familiar with what they're trying to do, where they really targeted him in the pass protection game. The fact that if it's 5 back there and not 8, my feelings are significantly different.
And I don't even know
the game plan would be significant.
And I don't even know what to think about that first matchup. So to be clear, it wasn't how I talked. You know, the Steelers won that game.
Allegedly.
But it was so strange because it was a big time Ravens rushing performance. Lamar was part of that. But they put up over 200 yards on the ground in that game. And the Steelers, who totally went away from the run game last week, despite being pretty effective doing it, only had 34 yards rushing against the Ravens the first time around. Like, I just don't think you can win that way with Scotty Miller and Aaron Rodgers throwing hero shots.
Well, it was the Rodgers sons. It was all these passes to
I know,
DK
but there's no
Metcalf.
DK. Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think you can do it to Scotty Miller. I mean, there was the sequence in that
Adam
game.
Thielen feels disrespected right now.
The sequence in that game where Rodgers
Had him 11
slid
yards stealing.
before, he set up. Remember the 4th and 1 where he throws it deep to Scotty Miller, and everyone is like, "What are you doing, man? What are you doing, Aaron Rodgers?" He set that up by sliding right before it, for the first down instead of like diving head, because he's Aaron Rodgers at this point. And it's like, I'm just enough of it. Wouldn't it be? It would be quite a terrible ending if they lose this game for this season.
And that's what I'm saying. Because don't you feel that the universal context where I think you could argue change has to be made at both of these organizations in spots. Don't you think that the Steelers laying an egg in this game might be the thing that universally pushes? It's not just Aaron Rodgers on his way out, but perhaps they make changes in other parts. Perhaps Mike Tomlin decides, because that's all the reporting, hey, if he decides he wants to walk away, maybe go coach another team, whatever. Don't you just feel that stuck in medium, all of this time, that a game like this, losing a game like this, would push you over the edge?
Yes, and I think that points out the stakes in this game for both sides. And I've tried to talk to people. I'm just guessing that I think it could be the end for John Harbaugh. There's certainly, I think most people would disagree, like even if they lost this game. But I think that is a fascinating subplot, that maybe the loser of this game, like more changes happen in the offseason, partly because of that. It's delicious.
Yeah, get everybody something they want. And my apologies to the Fire Tomlin contingency. Some folks had reached out, and because I had said I didn't know if all of the chanters were capable of introspection.
Oh,
the jury's still out there, but I think there's a solution for everybody to get what they want, and that's the Baltimore Ravens to win this game.
Yeah. I do have to admit, because I'm going to pick.
there he is.
I don't know. The Ravens are favored. I'm going to pick the Ravens because I'll be real, and that's what I want to happen. Derrick Henry having that game, just a few days before Christmas, it did make me believe.
Yeah.
That just in the power of something greater than myself or even than football in general.
Derrick Henry.
And that is Derrick freaking Henry. Take it home. Let's take one more break, and then we will run through the rest of the AFC before we wrap up this Week 18 preview show. Ooh, it's so good. Back on NFL Daily, and if you've been paying attention, we're going through the AFC in order of seed. Right now, the Steelers are the 4 seed. The Texans are the 5 seed, so they're up next. But before we move on for good from that Ravens-Steelers game, I wanted to point out we're doing the first ever post-Sunday Night Football live show on YouTube. I hate to do this to Patrick Claybon, but you're going to have to get on the air and react to your team either winning or having a heartbreaking loss. And that's some real television professionalism that's going to be tested.
There's nothing professional about it.
For you. But you don't have to be, that's the good thing about a podcast. You don't have to pretend like you're completely unbiased or anything like that.
The shroud has been dropped on that
Okay.
for a good little while.
Okay, but come join us. We will be trying something new, and so that's going to be really fun. We'll be reacting to that game and setting up the AFC and the entire playoffs.
Speaking of the AFC, how great was the start for the Indianapolis Colts? Things went absolutely south in the AFC South. They are at the Houston Texans, who were favored by 10. The over-under is 39.5. You can believe your ears this time. It's not Baby Birds, Big Bird. Ian Eagle is on the call to the folks who heard Noah and were very surprised to see Noah.
Ian Eagle, fresh off a spicy week of broadcasting.
Yes. lot has happened. J.J. Watt, Evan Washburn also on the call. Jourdan, we get to see what we haven't seen from the Indianapolis Colts these last few weeks. Riley Leonard.
Yeah.
After not playing the entire game and coming in and throw a Hail Mary interception, finally gets a chance to play. Congratulations. It's one of the best pass rushes we've seen in the NFL.
Yeah. Best of luck. Yeah. I thought, first and foremost, Riley Leonard, I had his game, the game that he came in. I thought he played well. I think he made smart decisions. I think he can work out a structure. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He doesn't take a ton of negative plays in a very limited sample size that we're seeing. I thought he placed the ball well. He has great skill players. However, you are going up against the surface of the sun that is the Houston Texans defense, a.k.a. my favorite defense in the NFL. An absolute joy. I was extremely fortunate to be able to cover that game last week at SoFi Stadium against the Chargers, and then to go be able to be in the Texans locker room and meet some of these guys that I actually have either, not covered in person or covered remotely for the last season or two. What a great group of people that genuinely care about each other, that are playing like on a rope together and believe in themselves and are confident to the point of their quarterback / offense overall has not been good enough all season. The play calling hasn't been good enough often. The offensive line started out not good enough. The run game has not been consistent enough. The efficiency down to down is not there. And yet there is no finger pointing because this defense is so confident that it can be the group that lifts the floor of this entire team. It was a beautiful thing to watch. It was a great thing to experience. And I love that the Texans are so back, baby.
They've had a little bit of bad luck if you think about it. Not just how they lost games early in the season, but if they win this game, and they're heavily favored to do so, they're going to be a 12-win wild card.
Yeah.
And then if you dip underneath the numbers even a little more over at FTN, like the number 3 and 4 teams right now in weighted DVOA, which gives more weight to the end of the season than the first month or two. The number 3 and 4 teams in the entire NFL, but behind my big 2, which has been Seattle and LA all year, and it's still Seattle and LA, and they're pretty far ahead of the pack. It's Jacksonville and Houston.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes sense to me. I'm like, yeah, and right now, if I had to pick a 3rd and a 4th team, it really might be Jacksonville and Houston. So they're trying to win this game. I think they'll be able to do it against Riley Leonard, but unless the Jaguars get upset, they will be doing that wild card path. And probably be, on the road at Pittsburgh or Baltimore, which would be fascinating. But yeah, it's just been an awesome season watching them.
Yeah, the way that, and again, I say it every time because if folks are on NFL Pro, if they're on Next Gen Stats, and they're seeing the pressures for Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter are different than the pressures for other people because they don't have to get as close. The closing speed is so high.
Yeah.
When they get to a certain range, it's lights out for a lot of these guys, and we've seen. To make these plays over and over again, where it's a rough go. Like Riley Leonard legitimately has a case for malpractice for how they.
Remember when Drake May made his first start against the Texans last year, and it was like a week-long conversation. How could you bring him in? Like, this is irresponsible by the Patriots to start his career against this Texans defense, which I thought was ridiculous. Hey, how about Riley Leonard? Why don't you do it in week 18 with like a banged up offensive line that's not playing as well as it was? Man, it's tough.
Yeah, and I think too the Texans specifically, where one of their strengths that many other teams in the league struggle to find a strength here is at inside linebacker, where they will not only use the players that they have who are playing at a super high level, but they'll also send Jalen Petrie down into the slot quite a bit. And he sort of puts a cap around the quarterback, wherever the quarterback is. You saw it a couple of times. One time, Justin Herbert broke loose for a big 3rd down conversion along the sideline. But Jalen Petrie, he is covering up the quick game with the way that he's playing coverage close to the line of scrimmage. And then moving out of structure and making plays happen out of structure against particularly this front seven, and then the addition of Jalen Petrie when he does play close to the line of scrimmage, that is a nightmare because they're dictating every throw you make, even when you try to create more space for yourself with those play action or bootlegs.
So before we move on from this game, I want to hear a little bit about your feature on The Athletic this week about the CEO/owner of the Colts, Carly Ursay Gordon, who is notable for many things, but one would be that, like Kyle Shanahan, she's around my age and is wearing a flat brim hat consistently, really making it happen. So that's the thing I've recognized her most for. What did you learn about her?
Yeah, well, obviously, I went to Indianapolis and I spent a week inside the organization for at the beginning of December. At the time, nobody in the state, let alone the organization, knew that their season was about to completely turn on its head. There were injury concerns with Daniel Jones. Obviously, at the time, the defense and the offense both were playing a little under how they started the year. But that really was, after that was when Daniel Jones tore the Achilles, and then the entire chaos and truly kind of a mess of the last month of the season happened, and they became eliminated from playoff contention after starting the season so strong. What I learned about Carly is that she doesn't, I think when people see her on the sideline with the headset and they see her taking notes as diligently and they hear that she meets with Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard once a week, every week, and has for years, I think people think that she's involved in the decision-making in terms of smothering over decisions or trying to sway people to her thinking or influencing decisions. That's actually not the case at all. I think she will have more influence in whatever changes they do or do not make in terms of their entire organization and at quarterback over the next couple of weeks, and the stakes are very high in that regard. But in terms of the day-to-day and in terms of the decision-making process, like, she is a more of a question asker and a student and someone who is learning about the organization and asking questions in a way to sort of foster conversation and encourage conversation that she hopes leads people to the correct conclusion. It's not somebody who's coming in over the top and basically swinging her title around and saying, like, we're going to do this. So I think that when you see somebody that involved on the sideline, you do have a little bit of that, oh, is this an interfering owner kind of thing. That could not be further from the case. And I will also say this. I was in the locker room for a couple of days. I talked to a lot of players. Two things. She has that locker room the way a beloved coach would have a locker room. And that was I've been in a lot of locker rooms and a lot of buildings, and that was striking to me.
Has that in common with her dad? As
the owner, to have the building, the way the locker room, the way that she does is significant, and I think a very subtle yet very important power dynamic here. The other thing is, I was absolutely impressed, blown away, and just moved by the way that the emotional intelligence person to person of that locker room. Because you talk to these players about extremely nuanced and complex issues, including mental health. It's all in the story, mental health, in terms of the spotlight that's on her and some of the commentary that's being made, not always with with appropriate framing, especially because she is one of the very few women who are on the sidelines of NFL games and one of the even fewer women who's wearing a headset. The way that they spoke, not for her, not in a way that softened her or patronized her or even maternalized her. They didn't turn her into anything other than who she is, and that is one of them. And I thought it was the most advanced, like, the EQ is off the charts in that building. And I think that's special. And if they can make the right decisions moving forward, they have something special there. They just need to go out and do it on the field. And
I think that is maybe the best legacy that she got from her dad, because there's probably few owners in the last handful of years that have the sort of buy-in and loyalty like her dad did, and bring back a little more ball knowers to be NFL owners. I do think it's a little bit of a problem with, like, the money that's come into the league, that it's a lot of, like, billionaires fifth thing that they're doing, and a lot of people are assigned out. And
she shows
whereas
she shows up when the coaches show up
and
in
that's-
the morning, and she stays until after they're gone.
it's one of the reasons why this building exists, and we have the jobs that we have is like that the men who did own these teams were so like intimately involved to the point where they would share all the profits with everyone else. It's like, I wouldn't mind if she was super involved. I want some more Al Davises and even okay, Mike Brown. I don't know if we need more Mike Browns, but Paul Browns at least back in the day. Like the owner being that involved, and Jim Irsay, learned the hard way, but through a lot of mistakes early on. It doesn't seem like she's going to be doing that, and I'm really looking forward to it. Everyone check out that piece. Still got 3 more games to get to, but these ones not as impactful.
Yeah, but still a parenthetical 5 minutes for the Buffalo Bills at the New York
That's
Jets.
fair. We might not need
it. It's 38.5. Andrew Catalon, Charles Davis, and Jason McCourty and AJ Ross. They're on the call. Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah.
Right, Greg?
Probably. It's not confirmed. Sean McDermott said this game is really important to him and to the organization. It's the last game at Ralph Wilson Stadium. I don't even know what the sponsor is at this point. It'll be the Ralph to me forever, and it's going away, so we should call it the Ralph. They're really lucky the schedule makers set up the Jets and the Brady Cook Jets and this version of the Jets right now, because I think they really do want to win, but they really do need to rest key players like Josh Allen, and I think they can accomplish both of those goals. But I don't know if it might be a situation where they play some of the high-level starters like a James Cook even for a while and get a lead before pulling them. I don't think they really care about the seed, but I do think they really care about winning the game. I don't think they want to lose to the Jets in the final game of Ralph Wilson Stadium. It would really be a bummer. Thankfully, it's one of the worst teams I've ever seen is this Jets team down the stretch, right? I mean, they had the worst 4-game stretch in Jets history. They think says it all.
It's dark days over there. I will say this, and I know that a lot of this game we're just kind of going to be talking about vibes because it's going to be a lot of backups for Buffalo playing, but that's a place where I remember, like, you want to go out with a good aura, like with good energy, right? Because I remember even when that stadium was being built and like people were making quote unquote sacrifices to the pit. That it was
to the new stadium,
the landfill that was being dug in order to facilitate the ground or the floor, the cement. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. The cement building blocks of that stadium. People were jumping into it or like leaving gifts for the pit. Right. This is a superstitious football town, and they're gonna come out in like droves for this. It's gonna be a good crowd, no matter who the hell is on the field out there. Like, I just think. The Bills want to send this out the right way with a total butt kicking. Sadly for the Jets, they're sort of primed to be the victims of it.
Eric, you have spent a lot of games, your childhood, flying back here like you did here to watch this latest one. Give us a little perspective and what you think it's going to be like there and what your thoughts are here.
It's going to be a great game. I mean, I went because it's the last year.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never been to a game. Got a snow game. Check it off the bucket list. We're at the Ralph, correct, Greg? People call it the Ralph. They don't call it Highmark, New Era, whatever it is. But no, if they will want to win this game. Josh Allen loves his Ironman streak, so I definitely think he will start. Maybe a drive or two. But they need to win this game. The fans need them to win this game. If they stub their toe against the Jets on the way out of the stadium, you think fans want McDermott fired now.
Yeah.
If they lose this game, dude. But no, it's it's interesting.
They're not going to though.
No, they won't.
They're gonna feel the spirit.
It's interesting. Like the new stadium's right next door. Walking into Highmark a month ago, whenever it was, it's right there. It's overshadowing. It's looking. It's like an
omen. Yeah.
Souped up high school stadium is what I would describe Highmark, the Ralph now. And then you got this big future of what is there looking at you dead in the eye every time you walk in. They need to win this game.
I mean, think of some
of
those
vibes game. They need to win this game for so many reasons.
Think of some of those games in the 90s that were played there and stuff. It is special.
McDermott had a quote. He's like, "We have a future, but let's not jump out of this just yet." He's been around for a while. He got him out of the drought.
Yeah.
I mean, the playoffs. I think he's only missed one of his time being there. Like, he's like, "I know we got a bright future with this thing, but like, let's not get over next door too quick."
I really like that.
Win the game, please.
I really, really like that.
Can't be losing the Brady Cook. And they are they are always the team I think about the most. I don't know if this will pop in your head right away, Eric, of a famous, you never know what's going to happen against backups Week 18 game, which is when Drew Bledsoe was playing the Steelers and they needed to beat the Steelers backups to make the playoffs. And the Steelers backups.
I was at an ESPN zone in
Beat 'em.
Anaheim, California, celebrating my birthday.
It was the Willie Parker
Yep.
breakout game. He was like a fourth stringer, and they're like, this guy might be pretty good.
Shout out to Fast Willie.
That's amazing.
And shout out to teams getting other teams in the postseason, like the Cleveland Browns did, like the Cincinnati Bengals and Andy Dalton did the Buffalo Bills when he beat the Baltimore Ravens back in the day. It is the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Cleveland Browns. The Bengals are 7.5-point favorites. The over-under is 44.5. Tom McCarthy, Logan Ryan, and Amanda Balionis, friend of the show, on the call. But the only number anyone cares about in this football game, Jourdan, is 1. Does that 1 happen against Joe Burrow?
Yeah, I think it does, and I also think it's kind of fitting for Joe Burrow if it happens to him. If he's the one, based on how his career's gone so far.
Why? He takes a lot of sacks? He does take a lot of sacks,
No,
to
I'm
be
saying
fair.
like he can't win for losing. And to be on the wrong side of this history before winning a Super Bowl, like, it sucks. That would suck. A guy who's thinking, we talk about vibes, a guy who's constantly thinking about vibes, about clearly universal powers and history, big fossil guy. Like, this sucks for him if this happens to him.
It's fine.
I
think it's fine. Who cares who takes the final sack? The only reason we remember Brett Favre is because he slid for it and just gave it to him.
I just think, these quarterbacks, the way that they're wired, Greg, and the stuff that he's been through to have it to be on the receiving end of this. And sure, he says he's having fun, whatever. Like, this leaves a sour taste in your mouth, win or lose. Again, to have this much potential just be wasted year over year. It all connects to each other in terms.
To me, it all comes down to whether they have a good offensive performance. I don't think he'll care at all if he takes a sack and they win 25-7 and he plays well
in a lost season.
Yeah, I think that part is going to be important to him. But one thing we've learned about Joe Burrow over the years, he is not afraid to take a sack. That man has taken too many. It's something he could probably improve on here in the second half of his career.
And I think there's a positive way to spin it. If the Bengals get the win, especially after what was, we can say, an interesting Aaron Rodgers performance that prevented Myles Garrett from getting that sack, for Joe Burrow, who does hold on to the ball because he's got 2 generationally gifted receivers and he likes to attack defenses down the field, is going to continue to do that against the Browns. So he's going to get sacked, but they're also going to get buckets because that's what Joe Burrow does.
Listen, all I'm saying, Greg, is that I think you might be glossing over a little of like what I believe, and there are whispers out there, the depths of frustration.
Sure, I just don't think Myles Garrett's sack would make one big difference or another. I do think winning on this winning streak and having them develop some young players down the stretch, which they have, Amarius Mims and Dylan Fairchild on the offensive line have been playing well. Miles Murphy and Dax Hill have been playing well. I think that's all good things for them to feel better about.
Cody Ford a touchdown.
And while you're mentioning Andy Dalton and Marvin Lewis, I wanted to point out the one thing that annoyed me this week. Everyone was so mad they put the Ravens Steelers on Sunday night. How could you do that? That game's not as good. This is disrespectful to the 49ers and the Seahawks. It's stupid that that's playing Saturday night. That's like the teams aren't as good. They're just doing it for ratings. No, NBC has been consistent from day one. They will always and only put in a win-and-in scenario if they have it, including a Bengals-Jets game back in the day where they knew one of the teams was resting the starters, even though there were better slots, and they were like, no, we will always do a win-and-in game, and that was a Marvin Lewis versus the Jets, just a terrible game in Week 18 where now I forget who was even resting their starters. I think it was the Jets.
I think that's the fastest I've ever heard a human.
Had to get it in. If you're on 1.5 speed, sorry.
Ooh, you're in for a ride.
I used to get mad about those people, but now I am one of those people, depending on the podcast. Yeah.
Wow.
Sometimes.
Well, inside info regarding Gregg Rosenthal, the defender of the Peacock itself. Shout out to Greg.
I'm just saying that is the rule. They've been consistent. They do that every year, so it wasn't anything unique.
The Kansas City Chiefs have been in the playoffs every year. Not this year. They are 5.5-point favorites against a woeful Las Vegas Raiders team. 36.5 points. Chris Lewis, Kyle Long, Tiffany Blackman.
Kyle Long.
They're on the call. Shout out to Kyle Long, who was in our newsroom the other day getting ready for the Netflix game. He goes over to see Puma, who's our stage manager extraordinaire here. Puma introduces himself, and he's like, no, I know who you are. You used to do research for my dad on the Fox pregame show when he was a tiny human, and he sees Puma for the first time in decades and remembers him, and that was a cool moment before Christmas in the newsroom.
That's beautiful.
That I'm glad I got to share. But
Awesome.
We'll also share the fact that he gets to call this game in this moment, and yes, not a lot to talk about.
I mean, the Raiders can only hope that if they take Fernando Mendoza, number 1 overall, and they lose this game, that he could have as legendary a career as Puma, who is one of the legends inside this building. The one real news item, other than obviously the Raiders clinch the first pick if they lose this game, to me was Andy Reid just making it as clear as humanly possible this week. I am back. I'm going to be back. As long as they have me, I am back. And they said it in no ifs, ands, or buts. So to me, that was kind of my big takeaway, other than the fact that the offensive coordinator of the Raiders, your guy, Chip Kelly, is back in the biz. He just loves ball. Did you see where he got a job?
Where's Chip back?
It is almost too hard to believe. He is the offensive coordinator of the Northwestern Wildcats.
That's another win for the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State.
What a career he has had. I mean, he's collected a lot of money from Mark Davis. That's a man that loves ball. I'm sure he's making plenty of money from Northwestern too, but yeah, he's not the coach. He's the coordinator.
No, I was just making sure Pat Fitzgerald's still there so they can bust unions together. Look at that. Chip Kelly and Pat Fitzgerald. What a great coaching staff for my rooting interests. Go Wildcats.
I don't know. Man, I got to find 3 games to pick with Cynthia. I don't think I can do it taking the Raiders in week 18, but 5.5 points for Chris Oladokun. I thought
he played well.
I have a sneaky suspicion. I know the Chiefs played their hearts out at Arrowhead, but I saw that Titans game. I have a sneaky suspicion like the Raiders are going to be making their fans sweat at the very least and might just like win this game to blow the pick. That's just, it's happened so many times in NFL history.
Yeah, I did think that Chris Oladokun played well. Like I thought he moved well. He saw the field well. It's, I would have no doubt that they could win this game. But you never know. The Raiders might do something Raidery.
5.5 points is just a lot for the Kansas City Chiefs.
And also David Braun is coaching Northwestern now. Pat Fitzgerald has gone to Michigan State.
Right. I was going to say that was
not
a strange hire, and I think it's going to be ineffective. But this is a pro football podcast.
Well, it's important to note because Chip Kelly will be back, Greg.
Well,
I don't think he's coming.
He's invented a new type of offense.
I don't think he's coming back to the NFL. But if you think of his career and UNH and the Eagles and like someone could write a good book, I feel like, about a Chip Kelly. He would be that would be interesting to me.
Oh.
I feel like a Chip Kelly book. I mean, he has seen and done a lot of things. It's why that stupid phrase for the Hall of Fame, well, you can't tell the story of football without him. Like, he's got to be a Hall of Famer. It's like, that's true of a lot of people that shouldn't be Hall of Famers. And Chip Kelly's one of them. He's sneaky been a big part of football the last 25 years.
I'm going to get Wickersham on line 1. We're going to get that Chip Kelly book.
That reminds me, Greg, I wanted to ask you this earlier, and I kept forgetting. So we were talking about the Hall of Fame before the show with Steve Weish, who obviously he's got an inside track on a lot of stuff over there. Greg, you're an avid reader. You talk about like the New York Times book list and stuff. Would you rather be the person that builds like the definitive reading list every year, or would you rather be a Hall of Fame voter?
Like a reading list of what?
Like, what's the one? The New York Times annual.
Like best books? Am I writing the New York Times best books of the year, or am I a Hall of Fame voter?
Gregg Rosenthal column at the end of every single year.
Yeah,
best books.
Yeah, that's
fully contextualized.
But it is.
Do I have like health care and benefits? Because that's a full-time job. If you give me that, maybe I'll make that transition. Although then you're taking your passion and turning it into your career. I don't know.
But I would argue your passion is also arguing for and against Hall of Fame candidacies.
Right. That sounds attractive, and my current skill set is definitely more well suited for that particular job. I would have to give up all this, and so it was a trick question. I'm taking the Hall of Fame one because I got to respect those readers. I would have to quit and say goodbye in NFL Daily, and I wouldn't get to work with.
Well, then
with
we'd
all of
get
you.
Walker in your chair. It's fine.
We give me like a decade. We gotta prime the pump. We gotta get him ready. Maybe 15 years. That's a long time, especially in media. All right, look, we've done it. We've gotten to the end of the year. We finished our Week 18 preview. We'll be back though as a trio next week to preview the wild card games. I cannot wait for that.
We did it. This is my first regular season on the preview show, guys.
Happy New Year to everyone. Hope you have a absolutely great night and New Year's Day. And we'll be back. I got Ollie Connolly talking All-Pro. We got our pick show coming up, so much more to come. Happy New Year.